Hello and welcome to the OxygenAddict Triathlon Podcast. We're brought to you every week by our sponsors, PrecisionHydration.com.
Precision Hydration offer electrolyte drinks in different strengths to match how you sweat. Personalise your hydration strategy today at PrecisionHydration.com, and you can get a special 20% off during August. That's 20%, Rob, using the code OXYGEN20.
That's right, it's August 2018 as well, if you're listening sometime in the future. It's like a time machine, isn't it, having a podcast, Hels?
I know, because you can go back and
go back
and
for years. So yeah,
exactly.
So if it's not August 2018, it ain't going to work. So Oxygen 20, as long as you've not got a TARDIS. And we're also brought to you by our patrons,
who support the show with a monthly donation. You can get our 2018, that is 2018, patrons only podcast as a thank you.
Awesome stuff. And well, we're back and we're alive and we have survived taking part in the Outlaw Iron Distance Relay Triathlon. We made it, not quite in one piece, all of us, but we made it to the finish line, didn't we?
We did, Rob. The Outlaw, for those of you that are not in the UK, is the biggest non-branded so it's basically a non-Ironman event. It's the biggest one in the UK, and Rob, it was brilliant.
Bloody
it was
brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic,
as well, wasn't it? What a great day out.
It was great.
And we were not helped by the weather, it has to be said, this weekend. After 3 months of solid, sunny, beautiful weather, it's fair to say the weather broke in a fairly significant way the day before the race, didn't it?
It really did, and I don't think it was quite on a par with Tenby and Ironman Wales last year, but it was certainly up there with guff weather, and I really did have the easy job yesterday because all I did was the swim, and like I said to you, I was going to be happy. I would be out of the water. If I wasn't out by 7:10, I would have had a bad swim, and yeah, I genuinely was so thankful that I wasn't out there battling against the winds on the bike and really pretty treacherous roads because they've been so dry. Then just all the rain that had fallen just made it tricky to navigate
super
through those
greasy,
roads,
wasn't it? Super greasy. We had quite a few bike crashes going on, and we'll hear later on from our friend Brian Fogarty, who unfortunately was a victim of this on not even a very fast corner. He said he was going around pretty easily, didn't he? And taking it carefully around a slow corner, and all of a sudden, woof, wheels out from under him, and he was pretty badly banged up, wasn't he?
Yeah, we'll hear exactly what happened, but he did show me his a bit of road rash, and it looked very, very sore, really sore.
And I know the size of a football as well.
Yeah, I know he was going to go to hospital, wasn't he, after seeing us? And then on the run, Rob. So the run course, I mean, you can go into a little bit more detail about the run course, but a part of the loop is that you run around the rowing lake at the National Water Sports Centre in Nottingham. And from where we were standing at the finish line, you literally could not see the other end because the rain was horizontal at some point, and it was just horrendous. And then, of course, Rob, at around about, 6 o'clock, 6:30, when we had to head back home, the sun came out, didn't it?
Cleared up a little bit, didn't it, later on?
Yeah.
The awesome day out though, made even more challenging by the weather, and I'm betting everyone who did it has woken up today and gone, that was epic. Like, it's really miserable when you're in it and you're freezing cold, but I bet everyone's got up and there's like an extra layer of awesome on top of their day today because they've made it round. Really cool.
There was one guy, Rob, on the marathon who was running past with a foil blanket at one stage, so he still hadn't finished, and even at that point he had a blanket around. And you sort of come past the finish chute when you're doing your laps, so you can get the cheers, but equally you're thinking, I really wish I was the other side of this barrier. I wish I was going down that red carpet. And just people were cheering him on, but he just, even at that point, he looked really pretty broken.
Yeah, it's I very seriously considered taking out my Gore-Tex jacket with me. I had it in my run bag, and the only time I've ever done a race wearing a waterproof was at the Manchester Marathon that year, and it absolutely booted down. And as I was going into the change tent waiting for Rich to come in, I was looking at the weather and thinking, I've put it in the bag and it's there and I know it's there. And then it kind of started to dry up and brighten up a bit as Rich was within 5 or 10 minutes of coming in. So I ended up leaving it, but I definitely considered taking it out with me. And I know we'll talk a little bit later on in Coach's Couch about this, but for people who are going to go and do their Ironman, especially the first one, if you've got the chance to have a special needs bag and you can put some kind of old top in there just to keep you warm. It doesn't even have to be a waterproof, but you can have an old tracksuit top or something in there. It can make all the difference if you do get cold, because it's no one's idea of fun running around in a soaking wet top. Even if you get caught in a downpour and it then dries up, you're still freezing cold, aren't you?
Yeah, really, really horrible. And he just looked, at that point, that guy did look really miserable.
Oh yeah, it can be. And I think also that when you're really tired and you're really sort of all over body fatigued, it's hard to run hard enough to stay warm, which nobody ever experiences in training. You're always kind of running at the sort of pace that produces body heat, but in a race like that where you can be super fatigued and doing lots of walking, you literally can't do enough exercise, or you can't move your body fast enough to stay warm sometimes. So it's not a bad idea to have that old extra spare top, especially if you're thinking you might be finishing in the dark. A long sleeve top's a cracking idea.
I think very, very good, very sound advice, Rob.
Well, we have to ask at this point, after our heroic bike leg Rich, don't we? He had a little bit of bad fortune, didn't he? Tell us about that.
Yeah, he came off his bike around the first aid station, and
so how far into the race was it actually that it happened? I don't even know.
I think about 16 miles, but I might be.
Wasn't very far at all then, hey?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't far into it at all. And he came off, and he managed to get again lots of road rash, and he landed sort of on his shoulder / it was kind of shoulder, but he hasn't broken anything. But he was in a pile on the floor, and he got back on the bike, Rob. And then the first thing I had heard about it was when Lucy Gossage came in off the bike, and I was doing a bit of stuff on the microphone, and I, said, "Oh, Lucy, how was it out there? Oh, really, really tough conditions. I think your husband had a crash on the bike. Did you know?"
Oh, man.
And I was like, "Oh, no, I didn't know." She said, "He was okay. He was sitting up, but he was on the floor."
So of course, with the story here is that you came out of the water about 5 seconds behind Lucy's relay swimmer, and Rich is all excited. And I'm saying to him, "You are not to race Lucy Gossage on the bike. This is your first Ironman length bike leg. Do not race Lucy Gossage. Do not get excited." And he's laughing and going, yeah, as if. And then, of course, it turns out that he'd overtaken her before they even got around the lake. And I'm looking at the tracker going, like, wherever the first marker was at 5 or 6 miles, and he'd averaged 25 miles an hour. And I'm thinking, he's either having an absolute blinder, or there's a tailwind, or he's got a bit too excited. Now, when I heard Lucy'd said, I was thinking, how does Lucy know he wasn't ahead of Lucy Gossage, surely? So, I mean, hats off to Rich. He is one tough man, because he got rolled across the road. Someone swerved in front of him, didn't they? And he had to swerve to avoid them. And he ended up running into a parked car on the other side of the road opposite a feed station. And he's got to be the only person where the car comes off worse than the human when he hits it at 24 miles an hour. So fair play to Rich and all the rugby training he's had in the past to get back up and finish a broken bike, another 100 miles without being able to use the aero bars is a phenomenal effort. And he still did, what did he ride? Like 5:45 still without being able to use his aero bars. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's got some good cycling legs. It's a difficult one, isn't it, Rob? I mean, because I said to him, would you have carried on if you had been doing the whole thing on your own? And he said, I think I would have got back on the bike, but I don't think I would have done the run. He said, but I didn't want to let you guys down.
Oh, God bless him.
Yeah.
God bless him.
There you go. But Rob, what did we do? We crossed the line in under 11 hours, didn't we?
We did. We did a very solid 10:50, which I think we didn't do ourselves any disservice at all with that, did we? Especially considering the misfortune that befell Rich.
You brought us home, and we the three of us. This is the beauty of the Outlaw and the Outlaw half, and the race in Holcombe as well, is that athletes are allowed to run down the finish chute.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it?
With their family, and if you're in a relay, you can join your runner just before they hit the red carpet and try and drag them down the red carpet so much faster than they would have done.
So picture this. I'm running along on the far side of the lake, and it got really ugly. I was all right to about 18 or 19 miles, and we all know I didn't have the run legs to be doing this properly. I thought I'm just going to try and get round. So I was all right to about 18, 19 miles. Got to about 21, thinking, grinding my teeth a bit, and then the last 5 miles were really ugly. And as I came around with 1 lap to go, I was really hurting. And John Levinson on the mic said something like, "It doesn't look like he's taking it very seriously. I think he can go faster than this." I was thinking, oh my God, you've no idea how much this is hurting. So I said to the guy just after we went by, there was a guy running next to me with a Garmin, and I was convinced we were still running sort of 3:40 pace at this
miles.
time. Now, I thought we were maybe doing just a shade over 8s. And I said to this guy, because that's how it felt, I was really like pushing myself to keep going. I said to him, "What kind of pace are we doing?" And then he looked down and he said, "Yeah, about 10-minute miles." And I was like, "I don't believe you. That cannot be the case." And he's like, "Honestly, man." And I was doing the maths thinking, it's another 30-something minutes to get around this lake at this speed. Couldn't go any faster. Just at that point, I was determined not to even put a walk break in, because it was harder getting going again at that point than not doing. So we kind of kept on going round. And about, it must have been earlier than that, I got passed by the relay team who finished in second. And the lad who came past me, I was convinced he was running like 2:20 marathon pace. Never seen anyone going so fast. And it turns out I think he'd done a shade under 3 hours. So even running just under 7-minute miles looked like sprinting to me at that pace.
And Rob, just remind us, what had your training consisted of for a marathon?
Well, you know me, I run every day. So I was like, I can always run every day. I've got that durability. I hadn't done very many long runs, and sort of 4 weeks ago we got the offer to do this, and I said, brilliant, I'll have the chance to get 3 long runs in. So I went out then and I thought, I'll run for 2 hours and see how I feel. And I managed to get to 2 hours 30, I think, and the last 30 minutes were a bit chewy. And I thought, right, well, I'll do another 2.5, and I'll do a 2:45 or 3 hours, and I'll be good to go. And then it just didn't happen. Life didn't play out that way, that I had the window to do those other 2 long rides. Then had that great holiday in Cornwall where it was so nice. The surf was great. I didn't run at all for 7 days, which isn't ideal. But do you remember that line from last year? Like my friend saying to me, do something every year that scares you, something you're intimidated by. And it was a case of, I know I can get to the finish of this walking, and it's going to be painful. So let's get out there and do it. You know, you never know how many summers you've got to go and do stuff like this. So you can turn it down and go, oh, I'm not fit. And you can turn it down and go, oh, people are going to laugh at me because I'm not as fast as I used to be. And those thoughts definitely go through your head, don't they? You know, what are people going to think if I used to be a 2:50 marathon runner and now I'm a 3:50 marathon runner? But I thought, I don't give a shit about all that. I'm going to go out there and do it anyway. So, it's probably one of my favorite experiences, because all the people coming the other way, because I wasn't focused on pushing myself hard, I was thinking you can run at this sort of pace and it's the endurance is going to get you later. I could kind of encourage people and high five people coming the other way, and it was great. It was really good. Put some smiles on people's faces, and I was channeling the Helen Murray smile the whole way round.
It's great though, and the amount of feedback that we've had, people saying, Rob, you were awesome on the run, thanks so much for all the cheers, the support. You know, I think that's a pretty cool thing to do.
Well, that was my job, I figured. I'm there on the relay. I'm an imposter because I've not done the whole thing, so the least you can do is try and cheer people up on the way around, right? And I tell you what, mate, some of those aid stations, there was an aid station between the rowing lake and the little loop you did at the other end. It was somewhere in the middle, just past the yacht club bit. They had a sound system playing like 80s rock music. They were all dancing around. A girl who'd been on a coach education course I did years ago was there, and she used to grab me and give me a big hug. And I was like, this is the best thing ever. And when you're not focused on racing, like to me, it genuinely made no difference if I ran 3:10 or 4:10. You can stop and have a little dance for 10 seconds with people and really enjoy it. So I'd really advise anybody to do this at some point in their lives and not take it as seriously as we do, because something I did notice was, like, there's a lot of serious faces out there, and rightly so, right? Yeah. Because people have trained hard for it. But bloody hell, guys, remember to enjoy it as well as you're going along. You know, life is short.
Totally. And I've said that one of my most favourite experiences was pacing my friend to that 2-hour half marathon.
Yeah, totally.
I could just enjoy it and remember that love of, oh, wow.
It's really nice to go and do events under your own performance ceiling and do it for a different reason. It's really nice, isn't it?
Yeah. I genuinely would highly recommend, if you can at some point, go and do the Outlaw relay. If you don't fancy the whole thing, or you want a couple of different races in a season, go and do the relay. It is so much fun because
we had a real laugh, didn't we? Sitting in the camper van and having a cup of tea while Rich was out on the bike. Sorry, Rich, but it's the truth, mate.
And a peppermint tea, didn't I?
And you get to chat to people and be around the families, and you get there's a real sense of community and the sort of cafe bit as everyone's looking at the tracker and asking how the other people are getting on, and all of the other relay runners were there looking really nervous and going, do you know where your biker is? And you there's a few of them look dead competitive and are trying to work out whether you're faster than they are. It's really good fun.
The good news is, Rob, if you are keen, then pre-registration for 2019 is already open. So you can go and you can pre-register and you can get on their mailing lists and get involved with the Outlaw Triathlon series, all of their events next year.
Yeah, and again, dead impressed. Really, really well run, really well organised. The kit's fantastic. Really nice bag that you got, like a Blue 70 triathlon bag as part of your swag bag, and an excellent finisher's t-shirt and a brilliant medal and all the stuff you'd expect from a really well run event. But I was just super impressed with the whole thing. So thanks very much to Ian and Helen and the team for having us down. It was really brilliant, and I hope we can do it again. And also, and do you know what? We should also say thanks to everyone who was out there on the course as well, who gave us a cheer and a G up, and it was dead nice, wasn't it? We met loads of people who listened to the show and came over and said hi, and I'm loving the community aspect of it. It's brilliant.
Oh, so we were there obviously on the Saturday as well, weren't we? You were helping me to sell Fueled by Cake. So sold over 20 copies, Rob. Awesome.
That's really good day's work. And remember, for all the people who said they would buy one online, where can they buy one online from, Hels?
Fueledbycake.com. So yeah, you can go there.
You get asked for your autograph a couple of times as well. It must be nice to be a celebrity.
Oh, no, don't be silly. But David, thank you very much for the coffee as well. At that point, I think I was almost like stuck on the table,
he's a legend,
kind of not being able to move. And lovely David Irwin, listener to the podcast, went and got me a coffee, which I'm very grateful for. So thank you so much. And everyone else who came over and said hi as well. It was great to meet you, and we hope that you had a good weekend too.
Yeah, good. Right, well, let's jump in and go through. We'll talk about the results from Outlaw, and then there's loads of other racing as well going on around. So, first up, results sponsored by PrecisionHydration.com. Lots of positive comments about the old Precision Hydration brightly coloured trucker's hat on the way around. And I think a lot of them were slightly tongue-in-cheek, but I don't care. I love that trucker's hat. I'm going to keep on wearing it.
It's great. Nice little finisher photo with it in as well.
Yeah, we'll get that tweeted out. There's I don't half like a pudding with that hat on, but I do like it, and I love the bobble hat as well. It's a real. I love walking along and people look at it and then look again, and they kind of smile as if to say, "That's a brightly coloured hat."
Yeah, you look a bit of a tool, but it's great.
Exactly. It puts a smile on people's face. And do you know what? Even though the weather was not very warm and it was rainy, when the sun did come out, it got quite humid quite quickly actually at places. But I thought to myself, I know what I'm like, and I had a blister pack of, I think I had 8 of their salt capsules in my back pocket on the run. So we're doing that, so I took those all the way around as well. And for me, here's an interesting thing, right? Even taking 8 of those tablets, so that would have been, what's that, 2 grams of sodium, 2,000 milligrams. I still had a blinding headache at the end of the run. Still felt really like low on sodium and had to take about 4 or 5 more on the drive home. So even that wasn't enough for me to get through a marathon. So that's dead interesting, isn't it? You think it's going to be a relatively cool day. You're not going to sweat that much. But I think there's probably an aid station every 2K. So that's 22 glasses of water I've consumed on the way round. And 8 of those salt capsules wasn't enough to keep my electrolyte balance right. So, but Did not feel wobbly at the finish for more than a few minutes anyway. And the funniest thing for me was when you and Rich grabbed me. I wasn't expecting you to be in the families area to run down the finishing chute. And we kind of did like I put an arm around each of their shoulders to say slow down, and they sped up, these two. So my maximum speed at this point was about 11 minutes a mile, and the two of them took off at about 6 minutes a mile. I was like, I really am going to fall over unless you're going to carry me down the finishing chute. Great
We did.
fun.
We got there, Rob.
We did. So go over and check out precisionhydration.com, our friendly sponsors, and you can use the code Oxygen20 during the month of August 2018 to get 20% off your order. So if you've got your Ironman distance race or you've got a long distance race of any kind coming up, get on it and get your hydration sorted. It's going to get hot again, isn't it, Hells?
I know, can't wait. We've had the rain now.
Get on it.
Bring the sunshine back. Rob, so yesterday, Simone Mitchell was absolutely fantastic, and she smashed the course record. We will hear from her shortly, won't we?
Yeah.
But what an impressive performance from her. 70.3 age group world champion at the moment. Her next goal is going to be Kona, and Rob, she won by an hour.
She was absolutely flying. I remember seeing the lead lady's bike coming opposite direction, and she looked like another species. I think she ran a 3:04 marathon.
Yeah.
It was a 9:15 finish overall. I think her splits were something like 56, 5:05, and 3:04 to make 9:15 overall. She was just dancing all the way through the run.
She?
Yeah, just unbelievable. She finished 4th overall. She was only 20 minutes behind the men's winner. So I'm so super impressed. Now, people will remember her. You'll have heard of her before as Simone Daly from a few years ago before she got married. She had some fantastic results back to about 2014. She had a couple of years out of Tri. And then she finished 2nd overall as an age grouper, didn't she, to Lucy Gossage at Ironman Lanzarote a few months ago.
That's right. Yep.
So she was in amazing form. But yeah, super impressed with her. And surely that's got to be a Kona age group, possibly overall age group winning kind of potential, hasn't it? Yeah. 9:15 on a course like that would possibly, you could argue, be a sub 9 hour performance on a fast course like Roth. So that'd be in the hunt for the overall win, wouldn't it?
Definitely keep
your
watching.
Eyes on that one.
Yeah, definitely keep watching. Supremely talented. So Simone takes the win in 9:15. Katie Peel of Sheffield Tri was 2nd in 10:18, and Lindsay Scott from Northants Tri Club was 3rd. And then the men's race, Rob. It was sort of money was on Gareth Hodgson. He looked very, very comfortable, but in the last lap, Joe Beach just sneaked ahead of him to take the win by 60 seconds.
What an unbelievable finish it was. Now I've got the athlete's eye view of this. Gareth Hodgson, he didn't quite lead off the bike. I think he was about 50 metres off the lead when he came off the bike, and he very quickly ran into first. And then as I was out in the run, he passed me when I was about my halfway point. Would that be about right?
Yeah.
No, I must have been.
No.
I must have been. It was just after I went off the first lap of the lake circuit. So he must have been on his 2nd lap there, mustn't he, as I was on my 1st. And he danced by me and I said, man, you're looking really good. And he was like, yeah, but there's a long way to go yet. Thanks, man. And off he went. And then I only put this together later on, but Gareth Hodgson came by in his Wales vest. And
Joe Beach came by in the Wales vest.
Sorry, I've got myself mixed up here, haven't I? Yeah. So Joe Beach came by in the Wales vest, and I thought he was a relay runner. He came by so quickly. He looked super, super fast. And it was within he made the pass with 500 yards to go.
Yeah, it wasn't far at all from the finish line that he.
Could you guys see it happening from your commentating position? Were you aware what was going on?
I wasn't. It was with 600 meters to go that he got it. And he ran a 2:55 marathon to do it.
Wow.
He was 2nd 2 years ago at the Outlaw. And he got new PB, 1st place, 8:54. No, Rob, at that point I was down at transition.
Right, okay.
Yes, I was calling people in off the bike as they headed into the transition tent.
And it says here he made up 2 minutes with 4K to go. And at that point he thought, like 2 minutes on the road is probably at their pace. it's half a kilometre down, isn't it? You're a long, long way behind somebody. You're not even seeing them on that kind of windy course. So to make that up, that's amazing running.
Yeah, honestly, it's
fantastic.
Absolutely cracking. And I love this one as well. Chris Cope, Rob, who was third. He's only ever done sprint distance triathlons previously.
Wow. What a debut. 9 hours 10 for your debut iron distance race. Fair play.
Yeah, that is good. So Joe Beach with the win in 8:54 ahead of Gareth Hodgson in 8:55, and then Chris Cope 9:10.
Fantastic stuff. All right then, so let's have a little chat about the other racing that was going on around the world. First up, we had Ironman Hamburg, where the swim was cancelled.
Before we do that, I've got a little idea.
Okay.
Why don't we hear from Simone Mitchell and Brian Fogarty? Because then it's all linked into the same thing, and then we can do the other results after that.
Love it. Perfect. Let's do that. All right then. So we've got today's interviews from Simone Mitchell and Brian Fogarty.
You've just crossed the finish line. This is the female winner, Simone. I want to say Daly Mitchell, but I'm just going to get confused, so you can correct me on the surname.
Mitchell.
So Simone.
Yeah.
Amazing. New course record. Absolutely smashed it. You're shaking your head.
No, because I've been humming and hawing over the last 3 weeks whether or not to do this race, and I've been in a big training block, and I've done loads of training this week, and I was so nervous about coming in, and Andy, my coach, he was just like, go, get your head down and just see what's there. So to kind of come out with that, I was just,
Did you feel good straight away?
No, I actually felt really good in the swim. I mean, I did a 56, which is one of my best swims. I did a 5:05 bike.
New bike course record.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I felt like I struggled actually for the first half, and then I started to warm up into it a little bit more. Thank you. But yeah, tough course actually. It's windy, and the road surface. I mean the run's quite nice actually because you can break it up into stages. I kind of had 3 hours in my head what I would have liked to have done, and I think I came in with like 3:03 or 3:04, which I'm over the moon with. I can't walk now, so I obviously put in a lot of effort.
You looked really, really comfortable heading out on that run, and to run a 3:03 as well, that's fantastic.
I know. I actually felt really good. I was pulling in like 4:10 to like 4:18 kilometres, and then towards the back end of it I was pulling in like I think it was like 4:25, 4:30s. So I did slow down a lot. I think that's the training load that I've had as well this week. Obviously, played into fact. So it'd be quite nice to see what I could do a little bit more fresh and tapered into a race.
It's kind of scary knowing that you're saying this this is off the back of a big training block.
Yeah.
What do you think you could do?
I have no idea, but I just know that I need to start being a little bit more nicer to my coach and not giving him a load of rubbish when he tells me to do something and moaning. So I think I just need to put complete trust in him, which I obviously do, but I just need to stop moaning and get on with it, and it'll be quite interesting. We work really well together, it's quite exciting.
And this must be a massive confidence boost, knowing that what you've just said as well.
Yeah, I think going into Hawaii, absolutely. I think as much training and racing that you do, Hawaii is just a different ball game. The heat, the humidity, it is, and it can stop you in your tracks. I've been there twice before, and I've struggled towards the back end of the races on both. So the goal is to kind of go in there this year and finish strong. I think that's what I would like out of it. I think I was more so than result. I think out of my performance and the effort and the work that I put in, I'd like to think that I can come out and step away and think, right, I was really happy with that performance. I think that's what I want to do.
Is Hawaii Kona the next thing on the cards?
Yeah, it's my next race. Yeah.
So this really was just part of the training block towards Hawaii?
Yeah, it was just to get another race experience. I mean, I did Lanzarote, which was the first race that I've done, more long-distance race in like 4 years. I'm not a big racer. Like, I don't tend to race lots. I know there's a lot of athletes out there that like to race lots. I love to put big training blocks in. I think that it works better that way for me. I do find the build-up to races quite stressful.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I get a little bit anxious towards it. I can't sleep the night before at all. And
really?
I think I overthink it. I never used to be like that, but lately I think it's because...
Do you think it's more pressure and you've got more expectations on yourself?
Absolutely, yeah, of course, because, I kind of spend the night thinking, oh God, what happens if this happens, or if I get halfway, my head goes, or, so I think I'm kind of overthinking it, and that's something that me and Andy are speaking about at the moment. So if we can kind of overcome that and have a good night's sleep before a race, that'd be quite nice. So I think Kona's the next step.
And what was the gap for 4 years? What happened there?
I just burnt out, fatigue, and then I had knee surgery, and it took me like 18 months to get it back working. And I tried everything, resting. I mean, I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I also teach Pilates, so my knowledge in terms of how to build the back up is pretty extensive. And the more I seemed to do on it, the worse it got. So the only thing I could do was completely rest it, and I couldn't bike, I couldn't run for best parts of like 9 months. Yeah.
How hard was that for you?
Yeah, it was really difficult. It was, really, really difficult, especially coming off the back of Kona 2014. I came second in my age group. Coming away, wanting to get back at it, feeling really buzzed up, and then I tried to get back into training, and the body just said no. Not necessarily from my knee as well, but I was just completely fatigued. And it actually took me, about two years to want to push my body again. I found it really difficult. I mean, what's really interesting is when I used to train either out of frustration or anger. So it was always,
really?
Yes, it was
always hard and
yes,
and
I
really...
always had that aggression going into training, so I always found that extra kick. And then I moved out of London, I got married. I kind of got a little bit more balance in my life. I become a lot
perspective.
more, I become a lot more happy in myself. And that was the hardest part, is then trying to push myself when I was happy, because I was like, do I really want this? Is this something that I really want to do? So
knowing that you've got that talent,
Yeah. So I kind of had to find my why again. And I think that's, people say, what's your why? And I think it's a really big question, because if you don't know why you want to do it, no one else is going to know, but then you're never going to get the full benefit out of the training and the work that you put in. So,
what is your why then?
My why is
we could go deep.
Yeah, no. Why? Just why not? No, I obviously took that time out. I got back into training because I wanted to train, and I wanted to progress, and I wanted to see what my body could do. And I think that's another aspect of me not wanting to race all the time as well, because I want to do it for me. I don't really want to. It's not necessarily something that I want to kind of put out there. I think I do feel a bit pressure, and I'd rather not say anything about what I've done. But so yeah, I think it's just finding out why I wanted to do it myself. And like I said, like, I'm a trainer, I train people. I love to kind of build the body up and just see. I mean, the body is amazing. It can do amazing things. So I just feel that taking that time away really, really helped me, actually. Yeah.
So all set now for Hawaii?
All set. I'm having 2 weeks off because I can't walk. Literally.
Well, best of luck.
Oh, thanks, Helen. Thanks very much.
So I'm standing with a whole load of catering tents and the merchandise store around me, and I'm next to Brian Fogarty, and I don't want to be standing next to you, Brian, at this time.
No, I don't want to be here either, Helen, to be honest. No, disappointed. Crashed out after about 35 miles, just really, really going well as well. Just a tight corner, well, not even that tight of corner, just front end just went, slid off. Bike's on too damaged to even carry on, but I was too injured anyway. I need stitches in my elbow, badly hit my hip, and end of the day for me, unfortunately.
Show me a bit of your injuries. They look pretty sore.
Yeah, it's typical, like, usual road rash on it, but my elbow took a big whack and I need to go and get stitches. So I know I've made the right decision. It was the only decision, so it's not even, I can live with that. It was just, there's nothing else I could have done but call it a day.
One highlight from the day, you had a good swim.
Yeah, we both did, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I knew my swimming had been coming on, and to do a 58.5 and just showing that progress, so I'm really happy with that. It was just all in all, it was just a shame. So I wanted to come here and offer a rebound such a bad performance at Bolton. Again, circumstances, but it's just not meant to be at the minute. I was a great event as well, really looking forward to it, really well organised. Seeing you obviously is always a highlight, and I know Rob's about. So yeah, just a generally bit of a sad day. It's a sad day all round because the weather's so miserable. It's not just just for the athletes to support, and it's so well set to support such a good race. I feel sorry for everyone involved, really.
When did you make the decision to enter?
It was after about a week of Bolton. I just wanted to dwell on it a little bit, and I knew it was available, and I thought, well, sometimes a bit of bad fortune could turn into a positive, and I thought, yeah, let's rebound fast and go and have another race. So I'm ready to race an Ironman. I'm fit. I want to get out of my system, and just please not happen again.
So is there like a plan C?
I think obviously, yeah. I mean, I'll have a look. I'll have a look, see what I'm talking about. I just want to get one. Obviously, I just want to finish one now. And obviously the swim, because the swim went well, so I know I'm getting there. I just need to piece it together. I don't know. Do you know any about a relatively? I'll do one next week if I could.
Copenhagen still.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's possibility. I'll consider it, because I do want to. It's either that or I back off and go maybe for Wales or Barcelona later in the year and just try and finish the season strong. So it has been a mixed year. The first year as a pro, and I've learned a lot, and I've made a lot of mistakes, but yeah, it's been a learning curve. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
What's the highlight been so far of being pro and racing in those pro ranks?
It's been a tough year, like I said, because of injuries and stuff. But being fastest bike split at Lanzarote by quite a way was good for me, because that it's always good to do that. I know obviously you've got to put a run together, but no, guys looking at my bike over there. What are they doing?
Do you want to go and?
No, it's fine. No, I don't think they're going to rob it. And just having being alongside like at Bolton, and obviously the racing thing, but I'm number 2 next to Will Clark. I mean, that's something I've only ever dreamt of, and I've earned that right to get there. So yeah, it's just I've not managed to capitalise on it and put some results to back it up, but I know I've got there because of the results I've had. So it's just the way it is. But I'll bounce back quickly.
What has the hardest bit been about being pro? Like, people often say the dynamics of racing are so different.
yeah, I'm aware of that, definitely. Obviously Bolton, the rule of the wetsuit for me was an absolute killer. I knew it was going to be bad, but God, I didn't realise it would be that bad. It was just a shock to me, real shock. So it's something I'm going to have to address. I've made the decision to step up, so it's just the way it is. I've got to learn fast. But yeah, the dynamic, obviously, I think with a bike in the packs, you want to get amongst them. But with me at my minute, because I've not managed to do one where my swim is good enough to get with them earlier. But yeah, I wouldn't say I've experienced that fully yet, to be honest, Helen. But I know it's there. There is definitely a different sort of element to being as a pro and racing with them.
And are you still working a little bit as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course I can. Yeah, I'm not fortunate enough to live and breathe it full time. Yeah, I still work 4 days a week. I've managed to take a day off. I coach now, so it helps me relieve a bit of time to train, and obviously I can do that on the side, which just helps things. And I'm enjoying it. I'm loving that. I'm living the life of a triathlete the best I can, and that's I'm happy with that. So yeah.
So what's the plan for the rest of today then?
Get home. I need to go to an A&E to get the stitches in, and hopefully I can get that recovered pretty quick. And yeah, plan the next race.
I hope you heal quickly, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks, Helen. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure.
So super impressed with Simone there, but gutted for Brian. Like we bumped into him there, didn't we, in transition, and he was absolutely heartbroken.
I know, and obviously, yeah, coming off the bike is never what you want, and especially after he hadn't had the race that he wanted at Bolton, and then this one, as he was saying in the interview, he really hoped it would, have just been a sort of positive outcome, a really confidence-boosting race, but obviously ending up crashing out on the bike is not what he wanted. So, fingers crossed, Brian, you're all right. And it all went okay when you went to the hospital, and heal quickly. And we will see you on the start line again soon.
Yeah, dead right. Good stuff. All right then. Moving on off around the world. The next race we're going to chat about is Ironman Hamburg, which ended up being Duathlon Hamburg after, I think it was blue-green algae caused
that's right.
cancellation of the swim. So they replaced that with a 6K run, which, I mean, that would break your heart, wouldn't it? You've trained for an Ironman and you've got to do another 6K of running. I had a couple of athletes racing out there doing that, and they said it was all right actually, but I think anyone who's got to face down a marathon later on, when you get to that bit where things go dark, the fact you've already done 6K early on is going to play on your mind, isn't it, a little bit?
I would, genuinely, I would have hated it. But actually, Rob, it played into the hands completely of Bart Aeronauts, the winner, because he is an absolute mean duathlete. I mean, he's a super, super talented triathlete, but he comes from a duathlon background. So for him, he was probably like, get in.
Yeah, your money's always going to be on Bart Aeronauts in a duathlon, isn't it? So,
yeah.
Again, it looks like the gloves were completely off. Big pack of guys came into transition together after running about 19:45 for that first 6K run, so they were not hanging about. And then onto the bike, they were not hanging about again. It was only a couple of K short. It was measured at 178K, so people can't be saying it was a cheeky short course, this one. 4 hours flat and 50 seconds for Bart Aeronauts. James Kanama's done roughly the same time, and then you've got Joe Skipper's done 4:01, Will Clark's ridden 4:08, so there's astonishingly fast bike times. So the overall win on the men's side goes to Bart Aeronauts, who ended up with 7:05, closing with a 2:39 marathon. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Joe
amazing.
Skipper backs up fourth place at Roth and a win at Ironman UK 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks recovery for Joe. He closed it down with a 2:45 marathon after a 4:01 bike split to take second place. James Kanama in third. Will Clark takes fourth, again with a 2:45 marathon. And then, for me, the story of the day there, Tim Don.
Yeah, totally.
4:01 on the bike, so rode with Joe Skipper, came off the bike with Joe Skipper, and then still manages to run 3:14 in his first iron distance race back. So finishes 9th overall, but to me that's the performance of, not just of the day, that's the performance of a lifetime. I just think he's an absolute, utter, complete legend. So hats off to you, Tim.
And his family were there, Rob, as well, there to watch him.
Oh.
His 2 kids were there as he crossed the finish line. Obviously, that finishing 9th doesn't secure the Kona slot, but I don't think it was necessarily all about that. Yes, wouldn't we all have loved that fairy tale ending to this year in particular?
Yeah.
But I think the fact that he's even doing an Ironman is just incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Absolutely brilliant. Over on ladies' side, the win was Sarah Crowley from Katarina Grohmann, and then Maya Nielsen in third place. Okay. Next up, I think you wanted to give a shout out to your favourite Javier Gomez, didn't you?
Yeah, he took the win, Rob, in Half Challenge Prague. And he did a nice little 1:13 half marathon to finish off to get the win.
Nice
so
stuff.
He won a comfortable win there by over 6 minutes ahead of his fellow Spaniard Pablo da Pena. And in the women's race as well, shout out for Sid, who got third in 4:22 behind Kirsty Jahn and Katrien Verstoeft.
Very nice, good stuff. Right, next up, we had Ironman Canada in Whistler, which was taken out on the men's side by Brent McMahon, and there was no pro ladies race in this one, was there? It was just a male.
No, that's right. It's just a men's pro race.
Yeah.
So Jeff Simons, fellow Canadian, was second, and then Matt Russell, who's obviously back and competing again. Rob,
Brilliant.
So fantastic to see that, isn't it? Third in 8:45 over there in Whistler, and Rob, Matt Russell, I think, was equally as delighted with that third place there.
Oh, I bet he was, yeah.
Because,
Now, Matt Russell, of course, was the guy who got hit by a car during Kona, wasn't he? Went through the side window of a car that pulled out in front of him at 50-odd kilometres an hour. So, again, it's just the power of the human body to regenerate and heal itself.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Just to be able to get back up and walk after a crash like that's amazing, but to get back and finish on the podium of an Ironman, stunning.
Yeah. Oh, he said afterwards, Rob, he said, the emotions came rolling out as I was finishing, followed by hugs from my wife and son. This has been quite the journey trying to get back. I'm still not 100% recovered from my accident 9 months ago, as I still experienced some neck pain. However, I gritted through the pain, and it's a big step in the right direction. Never stop believing, he says.
Oh, good lad. Great stuff. And one final set of results here. We had Ironman Switzerland.
We did, Rob. Oh, love anything to do with Switzerland. So it's over in Zurich. Jan van Berkel takes the win in 8:09 ahead of David Please. And then another guy who races a lot, and Joe Skipper was talking about him last week, and he had spoken to him about racing probably
frequently,
more than most other people, exactly, is Cam Worth. So Cam Worth was third there in 8:14. He did a nice 2:58 run.
Well, I was going to say, it looks like he's finally cracked that sub 3 hour marathon. I think that's the first time he's been sub 3 on the run. And he's less than a minute off second there, and only 5 minutes off the win. So it's coming together for him, isn't it? He's improving race upon race. So yeah, fair play.
And he knows, obviously, he can put himself, if he can put himself through sort of crazy grand tours, he knows how to race and bounce back. So in the women's race, Rob, Kaiser Sally took the win in 9:06 ahead of Sky Munch, and then Annabelle Luxford of Australia third in 9:16.
Jolly good. All right, well, that's pretty much the end of all the racing to talk about for this week's episode. Now, for Coach's Couch, we haven't got a formal question been sent in by anybody, but I just wanted us to have a chat about some of the things that we noticed and talked about at the Outlaw this weekend, and things that were going on that we thought, that's interesting, or maybe I've forgotten about that, or that's an interesting tip for people. So the first thing that I wanted to say was I've noticed things going on at aid stations that just break my heart, hells. And mostly what it is people trying to drink Coke while they're running. I'm on a mission to save first timers from doing this, because you see people almost in like a I must not walk mindset, and so they slow their run down to about 27 minutes a mile. So they're still kind of bouncing off the feet, but incredibly slowly, almost like slow motion jogging on the spot, trying to drink Coke. And it's Coke that's this in particular, or the sticky energy drink stuff. It goes all over the face, it goes down the front of the tri-suit into the zip, it goes on the feet, and it gets into your trainers and makes your toes sticky. Like, give yourself a break and stand still for 3 seconds and drink that little glass of Coke by the bin and drop it into the bin, and then you're off again. Because the big thing about Coke or sticky energy drink is once it gets on your hands, it's going to be there for the rest of your day. It's not coming off. And it's going to be so incredibly irritating to you. You can't put into words this, can you? Even describe it. It's going to annoy you so much with no way to wash it off.
I remember this clearly is one of your gripes, because
I
remember that was one of your tips to me ahead of Ironman Austria. You were like, just make sure you don't get sticky hands from energy gels.
Yeah.
The little things will really annoy you. And it's so true. I remember trying to eat probably Snickers or something on the bike, and you just end up with chocolate all over your bike as well as all over you, and you try it and you're thinking, oh, that's really annoying, isn't it? That's disgusting. And then it just plays on your mind, and you're thinking, I really don't need to be worrying about a little bit of Snickers.
Yeah, totally. And another thing that I noticed is the number of people that were out there running with massive back pockets of their jerseys full of stuff. Don't do it to yourself.
That would annoy me.
Like
jumps up and down.
Yeah.
Causes you. Oh, no, that would really annoy me.
That's exactly it, right? The temptation is, I know that I need this kind of gel or whatever it is, for example. But the trade-off is, and maybe some other people have done this, and fair play to them, but all I can see is people with sore lower backs because they've got these things jumping up and down and joggling and rubbing against them for 26 miles. You can get most of the energy, calorie, water, all the stuff that you need from the aid stations, as long as you've trained with the stuff and know that it works for you. That's the kind of caveat with this. The Outlaw was brilliant because they had basically one of everything you could imagine at each aid station. They not only had all the different kinds of water and energy drinks, but they also had oranges and bananas and Jaffa cakes and crisps. So you kind of had all your bases covered there, even, like salty crisps for the sodium on them. So if you can possibly get away without carrying a massive bundle of things in your back pockets, try and do it. Try and go as light as possible, because that kind of stuff rubbing on your back's really going to bug you.
In Bolton, I wore a race belt, which I had trained with and I had practiced with, and I had my gels in there. But equally in Bolton, you could have a section of the run whereby you could pick stuff up from friends and family. So
yeah, totally.
I knew that, okay, I don't have to carry everything, because that really would annoy me. But I had enough, and I knew that whatever I had was fine with me, worked for me. So I think if you are going to use a race belt or something, which can be really, really effective, but I think, as you're saying, if you've got it all stuffed in like a cycling jersey back pocket, then there's nothing really holding it down or holding it against you, and that's when it can rub up and down and cause a little bit of chafing, and it really can be a little bit uncomfortable once you get into like beyond mile 18. You're just like, this is doing my head in.
And especially when it's wet as well. That's a thing that we very rarely can make ourselves do in training, is like put the race kit on in the rain and go out and see how gels feel rubbing against your lower back for 3 hours. So again, at the Outlaw, they had a little section where you could leave your own little special needs bag and just pick it up as you went by. It was all laid out neatly on the grass on the far side of the lake. So people who had these big bulging back pockets could have done that. So yes, that was just another thing. And the other thing that I thought was, like, make eye contact with people as you pass by in the opposite direction and give them a smile and a nod, because it actually makes you feel better as you do it. Everyone's day gets a little bit brighter, and it takes you out of your own little bubble a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that's great, especially if you can embrace the crowds around you, use them. As Joe was saying last week, for the final quarter of the marathon at Bolton, he was using the crowds to get him through that last bit, and you've got to, like, it just helps to take a little bit of the pain away.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it. So are you recovered? Are you fully over it? Are you all done with the big long swim from the day before? Is it out of your system, or do your shoulders hurt?
I can feel it in my shoulders a little bit, but I loved it, Rob.
You had a good swim, mate. You were out in just slightly over the hour?
102.5.
Okay, and we watched you coming out of the water. Basically, you were in the first big pack. Rich and I were stood there.
You had to do 3 loops, so
That's
they changed
right.
the course because of the weather conditions, which have been pretty horrendous. They changed it, so usually you just do 1 huge big loop of the rowing lake, but this time it was 3 shorter loops, and you had to get out between the loops. So yeah, I think I started.
Most people seemed to like that, didn't they? From the comments I heard afterwards, they felt like it really broke the swim up nicely.
Yeah, it was. It did break it up. The first lap, in my mind, seemed to take ages, and I think that's because I was having a little bit of a battle in there. I was like right in the thick of the washing machine thing, and it is really scary when you are in there, because you're sort of going to put your hand in, and you can see someone's foot is about to go into your face. So I was like almost like trying to hold my arms out to like protect my face at that point.
Yeah,
I was thinking,
okay.
That person's going to kick. I don't want that.
Well, that's the problem with being a really good swimmer, Hels, is that you're in a pack of 50 people who are also swimming around the 60-minute mark. And I mean, that was what was really noticeable. I stood and watched from up in the stand up above the swim start, and did I do a video at that point? I think I did, actually. I think I did a Facebook Live from there, even as the start happened. And you could see how, like, the big front pack formed, and you were all swimming together at roughly the same speed. So everyone from like 57 to 64 minutes is probably covering that first 300 meters at the same pace, right? So there's loads of you. There's a massive draft effect. Oh. And yeah, so there's that trade-off, isn't there, of scary being in the packness against getting dropped and swimming on your own. And did you prefer lap 2 when you were swimming sort of, I mean, you weren't far off the back of that pack. You were probably only 20 or 30 meters down, but was it easier mentally?
Yeah, easier mentally, but equally I knew that there was no one.
You've missed the free ride, yeah.
I had missed the free ride, so I was like, well, I'm just going to have to give it a go on my own. But yeah, I was just looking up, Rob. I did 105 and a bit at Bolton in 2016. So
yeah, it's good.
3 minutes.
Good swim, that. And actually, I remember distinctly looking at my watch. You were out of the water in 18.5 minutes on the first lap. And at that point, we were going, hello,
free ride.
56.5 minute swim on the cards. That'd be a nice one. Yeah, so well done. I was really impressed with you. I thought it was a fantastic relay leg, and even more so to set Rich off next to Lucy Gossage. It's once in a lifetime, isn't it?
It's brilliant. Well, Rob, as we said, we had such a good weekend in Nottingham for Outlaw, so do go and get yourself pre-registered for next year. Outlaw half in Nottingham always sells out super quick, doesn't it? And then the Outlaw full distance, it was just great. So you'll love it. Go and do it.
And I think also keep your eyes peeled for a possible third half distance race in the London area for next year, because that was meant to happen this year and then the royal wedding got in the way, didn't it? So that'll probably be announced as well, and I would imagine that will sell out quickly because of the location it's going to be in, being down near London. So get yourself on the pre-registration list and you will be the first to hear about it all. All right.
Awesome. Yeah, great.
Okay, Hells. Well, I'm off to try and negotiate getting downstairs like John Wayne again.
And I'm off to do another interview shortly, very, very shortly. 2, in fact, Rob.
Really? Who've you got coming up?
So Neil Eddy, I'm about to talk to. A little bit late. Going to be getting on the phone to him.
Fastest age grouper at Ironman UK.
Correct. And then in about an hour, I'm lining them up tonight. A little chat with Meredith Kessler.
Oh, fantastic stuff. All right, well, keep your eyes and ears all peeled for all of that. So before we go, if you haven't got yourself entered into something awe-inspiring before the end of the summer, you still have chance. Have a look around and get yourself entered into an event before the summer's out, because life's short, kids. All right, so I've been Coach Rob Wilby.
And I'm Helen Murray.
And you've been listening to the OxygenAddict Triathlon Podcast. And one final shout out, remember to our sponsors, Precision Hydration, using the code the code Oxygen20. You can get 20% off your order during the month of August 2018. All right, everyone, until next week, have a great, safe training and racing week, and we will speak to you all again soon. Take it easy. See ya.